Unavailable.
Hi everybody, it's Sam. Today is March 1st. Can't believe it's March. And I'm doing okay today. Excuse me. I found myself more tired today due to the meds. I slept good last night. I took a long nap in the morning and I took a nap in the afternoon as well. I think that that's just the tiredness of the med. I also have kind of a stuffy nose, and I've actually read that, like with the Seroquel and probably with this one too, because it's in the same class, you actually get a stuffy nose. Also, I'm not sure if you get like watering mouth, like a lot of saliva in your mouth on it. So I'm just asking for anyone that takes Zyprexa, or I guess Seroquel, whatever. They're basically the same. Or I don't know, in the same group, I guess. If you have that watering, it's like when you're at the dentist and they stick that stuff in your mouth and you're like watering and they have to suck it out with the suction. That's like what it's like, and it's annoying. But anyways, yeah, I've just been really tired. I mean, I know I was supposed to call the battery store, but I didn't. I figured, hey, it's Friday, like, not much happens on a Friday. I'll call them next week. Or maybe ask someone who's a bit more willing to help with the box situation. I mean, I don't know if it would probably be easiest to send it home. It's just hard for us to know, like, how we're going to get to the post office and all that good stuff. Other than that, I'm doing good. I'm not hearing any voices or sensing anything out of the ordinary, and it's really nice to have a quiet mind. And I wrote my mom, like, she's concerned about the medication I'm on, and I told her why, and I was describing it, and I've described it to her like a million different ways, because that's how it's been for me. I described it as like the personality thing, and then I described it as like the, all my senses problems, and then I described it from the point of view of, empath, and what I've been working with psychically with Betty. And now I'm describing it as, hearing more voices and sensing things that aren't in reality, so it's just different ways of looking at the same thing, I guess. And because I don't have any, guidance that can say, okay, this is what it is, or this is how we can address it, maybe with all those different ideas, or certainly like the spiritual maybe and the the therapy wise and med wise, and that's what I wanted from the beginning, and I didn't get that. And the first 2 weeks were huge of when that happened, and I just wish that Jess could have like made a documentary of me over those first 2 weeks to show people how screwy my mind was. Yeah, we're trying to find an email that she wrote Jonathan, who never replied on it or saw me, about what I was going through, and she like described it. So I want to show that to my mom, because I know like describing it in all these different ways is probably hard for her to understand what in the world is going on with her daughter. And I think my parents think the meds is the problem that's made me, like this, quote unquote. But I know it's not, obviously. And I have the 2 recordings of, how I was at Jonathan's, those 2 sessions, the panic attack and the dissociation thing on the next Monday. So I could show her that if she would get Dropbox. But, yeah, it's just hard. And I know the more time that goes by, the more, this is all just going to morph into something else. And, who knows? I know with my depression and anxiety, at least, when I didn't address it, it kept coming back. When I didn't address it as what it was, okay, well, this isn't just like I have ups and downs, or I'm stressed, or, it's my fault and I'm just so sensitive. It's that I have a clinical issue, a diagnosis of this depression and anxiety. And once it took me the longest time to really address that, and I'd gotten that first evaluation at 18. And then I'd found different people that said, and people still tell me this, you shouldn't be on meds. Like, the meds are bad for you, and that's it. and just going on about it as if it's like a negative thing, or I'm not really that sick, like I don't need it, and it's not as bad as like I'm saying or doctors say. And so that really played into me, like not taking meds and thinking that I could just control everything by pushing everything away, and so finally, and when I was on meds again at the end of 2012, and then not very well managed until, of course, 2013 November, when I was brought to Albany Care, in which case I really got on the meds and was like, okay, I'm going to need these meds like forever, because that's just what's going on. And so that, by the 2013 was when I finally addressed it for what it was. And so this stuff, we don't know if taking the antipsychotics is the answer, if that's what's going to do it for me. I don't know that. And I don't know if, looking at that personality thing was what it should be. I don't know if the psychic spiritual thing is what should be done. I just don't know. And it seems like no professionals know either. And that just kills me. Like, I'm living in this facility with these professionals 24 hours a day. And, these caseworkers aren't trained on anything more complex than, I don't want to say like garden variety, but, depression, anxiety, like the schizophrenia, things that present really straightforward, I guess you'd say. Where this just is all over the place, and they obviously don't have the training to really fully say, like, okay, this is what's going on. Even, like, not necessarily to give a label, but just to be like, okay, I know what this is, like, I know how to address it, and they don't, And unfortunately, they aren't committed to helping me find the resources. And probably the resources aren't even there in Illinois. So I'm really stuck with, trying to figure this out. And Jesse and my friends, who are amazing, I would be suicidal and really bad without my friends. So that's what's going on with me. And I just hope that eventually I will, before this comes back around again and, rears its head in some other way, that the antipsychotics will keep whatever this is that it can keep down, balanced. Because the thing was, my Lamictal, my Buspar, my Buspar, my Effexor, and the Ativan weren't touching this stuff. Whatever chemicals made this happen, the medication wasn't connecting with those chemicals to fix it. And so I knew I needed another med, but no one could really sit and evaluate, what was going on that I needed. And so eventually, when I said the right thing to him, I'm hearing voices, blah, 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 he gave me this other med. And I'd been saying all along, this looks like psychosis. Like, it just does. And why aren't they, most every evaluation, they ask you, like, do you hear voices? Have you heard voices? I'd be like, yes. Like, why aren't people asking that or looking at that as at least a possibility? Because even if it was a dissociative disorder, I know a lot of people with dissociative disorder end up taking the antipsychotics, and maybe that helps for a little while, and who knows. But I don't know. I mean, I obviously, like, legit do not understand what is going on with me, and I'm just, going along by ear and trying to make sense of something that doesn't make sense. And so that's where I am, and as the beginning of March comes, and I've had that talk with Chris, it's like, okay, I'm living in this place, I have a roof over my head, I have food, I have, people that are as supportive as they can be, and at least they admit that they can't do stuff. If they admitted this before we moved, that would have been a different story. I think I would have tried to stay at Albany Care or move to some other place, but I wouldn't have, if they had been honest, Speaking of honesty, I'll tell you a story about that in a second. But, if they had been honest, maybe I could have gone to another facility. But as Chris said to me, no other facilities around here can deal with that, complex thing. It's going to be pretty much the same. Maybe the only difference is, like he said, Margaret Manor, or it's not called Margaret Manor anymore. It's called Mado Health. Mado Health will maybe be a little bit quieter. And so maybe the caseworkers can have more time to really talk with you. I thought that was the case here, and they made it out to be, but turns out, they're either busy on the unit, running around, or, again, with that blank slate, it's like, nope, we don't want you sitting in our office talking, sitting with us, having us around you. You need to do what you need to do, and we'll talk to you about coping skills, and then, have a little talk, and then that's it, That's kind of their view on things. And so I don't know, this is the first I've heard of that way of doing things. And so I'm just, so I'm living in this place, like I was saying, and I know that they can't, I can't ask them to do something they can't do. On the other hand, they can't ask me to fit into a box that I can't fit in, and so I can't take anything from them of healthiness, because what they're giving is something I can't take in. It doesn't make sense for me. It's, like I said, a lot of people maybe function at this level where they need the boundaries, like it's a little kid, like, okay, like, this is what we're doing, and this is, like, really simplified relationship, or, very clear what they can help, what they can't, because the person would, maybe ask them for everything and just be, whatever, you know what I mean? But for me, like, again, it's the complex, or with someone with depression, with anxiety, like, maybe those coping skills work. Like, for me, with this thing, nothing was working, works besides, really, it just, besides meds, really, finally, the med is working. And with a lot of the psychic stuff, I did get some peace about some things. I did feel empowered about some things. The spiritual healing that I got, from a spiritual point of view, I think, was amazing and always will be. And so that was helping. And, I wonder if there's a way of doing, my friend was saying that there are shaman people that do also psychiatry or therapy. And I'd be very interested to talk to someone like that. That's someone I'd want to talk to, is someone that has both those perspectives, really the mind, biological perspective and the spiritual perspective. Because maybe that's part of all this, I don't know. So, my thing at Clayton, now that it's been a year, is like, okay, I'm just going to have to hang out here, until either my parents are ready to move, and have a house for me and Jess to move to, or we decide to try and look into another facility and see if they have at least a better caseworker outlet where they're not that blank slate, and at that point I think my mom would be the one to call places, because she's always been such an advocate around the blindness. The thing is, she doesn't really understand so much the mental illness, because she just doesn't understand it very much in general, but then when I'm talking about all this other stuff, I'm sure I'm confusing the hell out of her. So I have a lot of mixed feelings of it being I'm sure I'll say more on this the day of March 14th, when it's the official day that I moved. But, it's an everyday thing for me to say, I don't know what's going on. This is what I'm doing. It's, it sounds, I know it's a broken record, but it's how I feel, And I would like to, if anyone at all has experienced any of this, where there's been a panic attack or something, that's unleashed huge amounts of things, that cover, senses, speech, any kind of like blackouts, and any kind of, voices and experiences of feeling like you're being taken over, and, you're talking and acting and naming yourself as other people, any of these things that I talk about in my videos, and you've experienced, maybe several or something all at once, or, just a combination of these different things, based on how I'm talking and what I'm talking about. If you know anything and for anything on your experiences, I'd love to hear it. I mean, I've talked to a lot of different people who have experienced, say DID, or, or psychosis, or, plain by itself, and just if people have ever experienced a combination of it, that would be a good thing to know. I mean, the whole, maybe the best thing for me to have done at some point too is, again, they ask all these questions in evaluations anyways about, have you had memory problems, or, had instances where I don't even know how they say it, but talking about dissociation, and maybe that's what I should have done too, is evaluation on the dissociation by somebody that knows about it, so that I can have rule that out or not. I think that's something that needs to be done, as a matter of the evaluation. If anyone's experienced similar stuff, I mean, that's why I make these videos, and hopefully, I can talk with different people, expand people that I talk with, because I know my friends have been really great about it. But, it's triggering for a lot of people. And so I just hope that eventually I'll find some more resolutions on what, this is, or, what it is and what I can do about it. And I guess maybe the best thing that I'm doing is just continue what I'm doing. And, and that's what Chris said. He's like, keep doing what you're doing, but he said, I know it's how stressful it is. And he's like, stress is a killer drug. I'm like, yeah, I think so. But he was like, I know how frustrating this is that you don't, we can't help you with this. And, I believe him. I think I know he's telling the truth. He's a very good guy. So, they sort of know what's going on, and that, they do sort of know that. Yeah. That's my thoughts for today. I'm not doing any audio reading because I was tired all day. Plus all this mouth-watering stuff is annoying. But hopefully on the weekend I'll be able to do it. And so that'll be fun. And other than that, that's pretty much all I have to say. The story about lying. The maintenance guy, does maintenance stuff, and, when I first met him, he seemed everyone seemed really good when we first met him, but he seemed really good, he seemed really prompt, and everything else, and he seemed to do a good job. And then I'd hear stuff about, he's not exactly honest, and, he just puts people off, and, and then as time went on, I'm like, yep, he does. I figured that out pretty quickly. Just like with everyone else. But he was still pretty reliable. But anyways, so, Jessica every so often will tell staff, and we'll hear, the elevator's getting taken down soon, and I'm just like, oh. And so, Keisha said, Jessica has said in the staff meeting that it's being taken down soon. So we found this guy, this Jesus guy, and we said, hey, do you know when the elevator's going to be taken down? And he said, I haven't heard anything. Okay. And that's what he usually says, so that wasn't the lie. But then we said, why don't you, are you working on the washers and dryers? Because laundry is a huge issue they have, and if we had learned this again before we walked in the door, we probably wouldn't have moved here. It's like we have to ask what everything. And you like my mom says, you shouldn't have to be like suspicious of their answers. Like you shouldn't have to, second guess them and whatever, but you have to. So the washers and dryers, they have 2 washers and dryers on first floor, third floor, and fourth floor. Second floor doesn't have it because they have the crisis unit in the place where they would have the washers and dryers. So on each floor, I think that there isn't one full set of washer and dryer working. Like there's one dryer broken, one washer broken, on one floor. And then another dryer broken, another washer broken on the next floor, and then another, I think on one floor, like 2 dryers are broken or 2 washers. So that's, that counts, they have to go to different floors to wash and dry. And I can't imagine how that's going to go bringing laundry up and down those stairs. But anyways, so it's horrible. I mean, everyone getting laundry done is this huge production unless you time it right, which because we put on this set list with me and I guess some other residents that really need help with the laundry, and so the staff just does it. Where with most residents, they try to have you move it through the washer and dryer, but again, it's so chaotic. They're not working. Oh, and they lock the laundry area. The CNAs do, because residents would steal stuff, which is sad. But then again, only the CNAs have the keys. All staff should have keys, but then someone said, well, staff steal. I'm like, really? Anyways, so it's a complete chaos, just like everything else around here. But so we asked him, and we're like, he's like, oh no, he says, we put in stuff 2 weeks ago, all new washers and dryers. We're like, great. So then we go down there, and we told Tabitha, this, one of our favorite CNAs, we said, we talked to Jesus, and he said they put in all new stuff. She's like, no, they didn't. It's like, okay, why would he lie about that? And a couple of staff were like smirking, and they're like, why would he lie? Like, story of our lives, like they were just like that kind of expression. But so then he came in the room, and I said to Tabitha, I said to Jesus, I said, we told Tabitha that about this, and I guess he looked really surprised, and I guess, I don't know if surprised that we told him or surprised that she didn't know. Probably surprised that we told her. And so he just walked out the room. And I said to Tabitha, I said, you need to tell Jessica. And I never want to bring anyone to Jessica's claws. But I said, tell Jessica, because that's not good. No one should be lying to us. Of course they do. But no one should be outright lying to us. That's a obvious lie. Of course Jessica lied on everything, but that's not right for them to be saying that, and then residents demanding, well, like, why aren't these things working? It's like, well, he didn't put any new ones. Well, he said he did, So I was upset about that. I think I said in another video they do a survey, I can't wait to get it, on this whole building. And I'm going to put in for him, he lies. He lies, he doesn't do what he says. And I don't know about who handles the money, but you would think he would be working with, I don't know if it's Jessica, they have another finance person from the company that handles the money, but you would think he'd be working with them on things like this, these broken washers and dryers. And getting in at least one set of big industrial, laundromat washers and dryers. I feel like asking someone, donate washer and dryer to Clayton House. So, so that was him, Mr. Dishonesty. So that's about it. I will talk to you guys tomorrow. Alright, have a good day, people.
Inbox. My move. Webcam. Stop.